Welcome to the magical world of solar. Today we're going to demonstrate how we install a Unirac railing system both on a shingle roof, such as this, and a metal roof. We have this simulated here in the classroom. My name's Jay Warmke with Blue Rock Station. So let's get started. Hopefully it'll be fun. Okay, the first thing we're going to have to do is locate where the rafters are on the roof. This is never a simple project, and you're going to miss occasionally, and that's why you're going to have tubes of caulk with you to fix all of your mistakes. The nice thing about the size of the flashing here is it covers over a myriad of mistakes. So you're going to take a tape measure. Typically you'll have a stud finder. You may not be able to do that on the job because there are a lot of nails within the roof that are going to disorient any magnetic stud finder. Roof joists or rafters are typically in the United States going to be 16-inch on center, 2 foot on center. Never count on that. No roof is exactly perfect. And for instance, even in this mock-up, we have these on 2 foot centers, but the joist between the end and the first rafter is not 2 foot. So you're going to have to spend some time, locate that rafter. We know that this rafter is located here at the end. Then coming in, you'll do this perhaps underneath in the attic. Find where that's going to be. Here I can find that it's 21 inches. So I'm going to find 21 inches on the roof. I'm going to mark it. In this case, just a Sharpie, black on black. It's not going to make a mess. But hopefully you'll be able to find it later. I'm going to just indicate where that is with a bolt. I'm going to come in up here, 21 inches, here, make the same. And then with a chalk line, you would go up on the roof and make your marks. In this case, we're going to snap a chalk. Just drop that on someone's head. Line up your marks, snap the line. After our chalk lines are marked, we need to decide where on the roof surface we want to locate our footers. We have to determine how far from the ridge and the base and how far apart the rails are going to be. Now in this particular situation, we're going to be mounting these rails in a portrait configuration, which means that the north-south will be the long portion of the panel. These panels typically today are going to be about 6 foot, 6.5 feet long. Then the east-west will be the short side of the panel. Now the rails should bisect or go in a 90-degree perpendicular to the long side. And while it's not an exact science, probably the best practice would be to come in from the top about 25%, leave about 50% of the panel supported by the rails, and then you would overhang the bottom portion by about another 25% of the panel. When you're going to lay the flashing, the ideal location is you want the flashing to line up just about 1/2 inch, maybe a little less, above the end of the shingle, and you want it to go under this shingle and up under this shingle. So you can see as we start to feed this up in through, we're going to hit some nails. So we have a tool here that is specifically designed to help you remove nails. So if I've made the determination I'm going to try and put my hole somewhere right along here, now I need to come in and remove the nails. And one of the difficult things you're going to do with a roof is you really don't want to booger up the existing shingles. You want to leave the roof better, well, not better, but at least as good as you found it. So now this should slide up through here. I'm going to line it up with my chalk line underneath. I find out where that pilot hole is going to be. You can mark it just with the bolt. We have our indicator. Now we're going to take our pilot hole here. We're going to drill down through. Hopefully we'll hit the rafter. Success. Now we're going to slide this back up in. Whoops. Right there. Now, we're going to take our ratchet wrench. Typically, these systems, when they're under warranty, are going to require that they be torqued to a certain specification. You'll just have to look at the instructions of the railing system when you're doing that. Well, this fella's working his little heart out. Wanted to mention about the spacing of the footers. On a 16-inch on-center roof, typically you're going to place the footers on every other rafter. If it's a 24-inch on-center roof system, then you'll probably be putting your footers on every rafter. And while you're up there on the roof, follow all of the safety procedures. If you're in a place where you can fall 10 feet or more, you're required by OSHA to use a harness and lanyard. So protect yourself while you're up there. And also remember, you're putting holes in somebody's roof. So try and be careful. Don't mess up the roof. Keep your tools in good working order. Don't drop them. Somebody else may be down below you. And be cautious with the sealant that you're going to be using. Don't drip that all over the place, all right? Okay, now that we've done the shingle portion of the roof, I want to show you how their metal portion goes in. And these systems are pretty simple. This is just the attachment location. I've pre-drilled all of the holes here to save some time, plus so you can't see me miss the studs as I'm going through. And now we're going to put this down. These will fit there, and then the footers will fit over top of them. Then the bolt goes down through that, and then after that's all secure, this cap will fit over top of that and give a nice watertight seal. So I've, as I said, pre-drilled all of these holes. So let's go ahead and attach them. Okay, after we put all of the holders, the footers, onto the metal roof, then you'll take the footer itself, and notice here there is a vertical slot. That will come into play later when we're trying to adjust the height of the rail. This fits right over top of what's already there, and then this little cover goes on, seals everything, makes it waterproof, tightens that down. Just give it a little turn with a wrench. You're all set. So the footer is in place. All of our footers are in place. Now it's time to put in the rails. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and install the rails. I've put one rail up here. I want to show you how the other rail gets mounted onto the footers. Now, typically in the field, you're going to find that you're going to have to make a splice. So we'll show how those splices go together. I would also recommend that when you do a splice, stagger them so that the splices are not lined up on the roof. So that, for instance, here we've got 11-foot section, and then we've got a 5.5-foot section there. So then we're putting the full 11-foot section over here with a 5.5 here. So let's go ahead and do the splice. Okay, on this system here with Unirac, they've got a nice little splice kit. This splice just slides over, fits in the groove, put it about halfway. Then we'll go ahead and lock that down. Is that turning it? I don't know that it is. That's better. And this unit, once it's locked together, it is designed to give it a bond. so there is an electrical bond. So there is a bond between here and here, locking those together. Okay, now once we go to put the bolts in here, we need to attach the footers to the rail. There are typically two different systems that occur. This one is kind of a pain because you then have to take these bolts and slide them in from the end. If you forget to do that, then you're going to have to back up and do it all over again. The other type of bolt is this type of bolt that you can put in and turn, and it will lock in place. So I recommend those, but if you have these, just make sure you do them before you try and mount the rail. Now simply insert the bolt into the footer along that slot. Put the nut onto the bolt, ratchet it down, follow the torque specifications that are given to you in the instructions with the railing system, and repeat this for every footer, and you're just about done installing your rail system. One point I want to make is with two rails, it doesn't really matter to get them properly level, but I like to use a rail that hasn't been installed yet. If you've got multiple sections that are going down the pitch of a roof, you want to lay it across so that all of these rails are uniform and come up to the bottom of the unused rail that's laying across them. That way you don't get a meandering level once you're applying your panels. You may have to leave some of these footers loose to raise it up and lower it to get a nice uniform look as you're applying the entire array. Most rail systems offer an end cap for the ends of the rails just to trim it out, make it look nice. You may want to install that at this time. You'll use a rubber mallet just to tap them into place. Typically they go on fairly easy. This one's giving me a little bit of problem. Or you may have to wait until after you've mounted your rails because some end caps do block the grounding lugs as well as the bolts or the end bolts for the panels.
You can find more information on living sustainably in our unsustainable world at bluerockstation.com.